Welcome back to Pint Podcast, and today we are joined by player manager Robbie Simpson. So let's get on with that. If it's all right, Robbie, we'll start off right at the beginning of your career. So starting off in your sort of football journey in the youth ranks at Norwich before leaving and then joining Cambridge City. What was that switch like for a young footballer?
To be honest, at the time, it was devastating to be released by Norwich. I've been with them since I was 9 years old, and at 16, I kind of expected to be released, but it still hit me hard because football's all I ever loved and all I ever wanted to do. Mum used to drag me in off of the park for dinner and stuff, and so yeah, it did hit me hard. But at the same time, you know, I've got older brothers and sisters that went on to university, and they used to come back at term break and stuff, and I used to see what a good time they were having. They didn't want to come back; they just wanted to stay at uni. So that was always something that I'd quite like to do as well. And I realised if I stayed at Norwich and got a scholarship, I wouldn't be able to do that because they didn't offer A levels or anything like that. So when I heard about Cambridge City and their programme and the fact that they were with a sixth form college that allowed you to do A levels and play football at a relatively high level, their first team was in the Conference South, so not too far off of the Football League. It was just it was a no-brainer for me to go there and do that because I could do both, you know, education and football.
Right. So you then made the switch to neighbours Cambridge United, which was was that something that happened sort of regularly, you sort of come through the youth system and then went to Cambridge United, or is it something that they scouted you for and sort of brought you in that way?
Yeah, so there's no affiliation or partnership between the two clubs at all. Perhaps there should. I think the relationship's a bit better now, but at the time there wasn't. It wasn't good at all, really, and there was a bit of controversy around my move. There was two other players actually that made the move at the same time, and at the time Cambridge United didn't have a youth setup, and they'd been watching Cambridge City's youth setup and seeing how successful it was. And that whole setup actually kind of moved across to Cambridge United, and there was three products of the youth system that were in Cambridge City's first team, and we kind of moved across with it to Cambridge United's first team. So there's a bit of controversy over the whole thing. And for me, you know, I was just heading into my last year at uni when I made the switch. So. And obviously Cambridge United were a full-time professional football club, so I had to beg Cambridge United to let me finish my last year of my degree, which was weird because I was effectively just going back for matches and not training. But they came up to Loughborough and they saw the facilities and met with the coaches and understood that it really is a first-class facility for sport. And they understood that I was gonna do things properly football-wise and not just live the student life. And
did you have to do all your training between matches then, Robbie? In that period, that was it while you were at presumably Loughborough University. So you were doing all of that there, and then rocking up on like a Friday before the game. Was that how it was, or
not even a Friday? Rocking up on the Saturday.
Oh, really? Right. Okay.
Yeah. Obviously, during half term and stuff like that, I would go back and train properly. So the pre-season, I was there for the whole of the pre-season. But yeah, really thankful to them to allow me to do what I did, really. And I guess if I hadn't have been performing on the pitch, things might have been a bit different. But luckily, I was playing really well and scoring goals, particularly in the second half of that season, and managed to score a good amount of goals to keep them up because we were fighting a relegation battle. So that was good.
Yeah, I was reading the story earlier. Was it Jez George who did he move from Cambridge City to Cambridge United? And I think
that's right.
But on all sorts, didn't it? I was reading. I thought this sounds a bit unusual. It's not your normal sort of free transfer, but
no, yeah. I mean, because we were all under 24, so technically there should have been a fee due, but Jez was obviously one of the directors at Cambridge City and set the youth setup up and moved it across to Cambridge United. And I'm really thankful to him for doing so, because things might have been a lot different if he hadn't have done that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant. So again, we're moving on into your career when you signed for Coventry City, playing alongside some really quality players like Leon Best, J Tab. How much difference of quality was it like playing sort of in the Championship compared to the previous years?
Massive. I remember my first training session, and I gave the ball away. And I didn't think it was a bad pass. I thought, it's an unlucky pass that just didn't make it. And Michael Doyle at the time, I don't know if you know Michael Doyle,
midfielder,
Leeds, Sheffield United, and all them. I think he's still at Notts County. He tore into me like I've never. I mean, he's quite well known for his mouth to his own players and getting on at them. But honestly, I was like, wow, okay, I need to up my game here, otherwise I'm going to get shouted at a lot. And you just notice the quality straight away. That, no disrespect to, I'm at the level now, managing at the level now, so I know it. But there appeared to be a lot more time on the ball in the Championship. But I quickly understood that's because there has to be, because if you try and press the quality of player, you can easily just get picked off, and then you'll just be chasing shadows all game. So it's a lot more tactical, the Championship, a lot more tactical. And the jump up was incredible, really. And I actually fully expected to be sent out on loan to try and bridge the gap from Cambridge's level up to the Championship. I thought they might loan me to a League One or even a League Two team just to get some experience of a higher level of football. But I guess coming on my debut and scoring maybe changed their thought process in that.
Yeah, you. So you were playing under Iain Dowie, and was it Tim Flowers was there as well? And certainly got a lot of praise. And I know I'm a Man United fan, so I can guess what's coming.
Yeah.
And that season as well, that were the one season that I've had a season ticket at Old Trafford, and we lost 3 games that season at home. We lost to Man City, we lost to Portsmouth, who went on to win FA Cup, and we lost to a Coventry City side featuring a 22-year-old Robbie Simpson. I mean, it were a terrible night for me. I'm guessing it was a bit better one for you.
Yeah, it was crazy, really, to think that I graduated from Loughborough in the July, and then 2 months later, I was starting my first game for Coventry at Old Trafford and beating them 2-0.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's surreal, really. Even just talking about it now, it feels surreal. That night was so special, really. And you did play a kind of a second string, but there was still some. It was kind of a half and half team. So
I know Nanny played. It was one of Nanny's first games, just signed for 20-odd million. So
yeah, Nanny played. Anderson played, who you just signed that season as well, I think. And Carrick played. Yeah. Wes Brown at the time was a regular in the team. John O'Shea.
O'Shea,
yeah. There was the Chinese guy up front.
Dong played.
Yeah, he played. Yeah, he wasn't very good, although he did have a header saved just before we scored our second, I think.
I can't remember much about game other than leaving with about 10 minutes left. So, I mean, it didn't turn out a bad season. So, yeah, European and English champions and Coventry City have done them. So,
well, in actual fact, PK played in that game. That's kind of one of my claims to fame. That I made Sir Alex Ferguson sell PK.
That's one I have a lot to thank you for.
Yeah.
Daring PK a new one. Robbie Simpson, 2K17. Yeah, brilliant. So what was it like then playing under Iain Dowie? Was he quite of a role model type of manager? Was he quite hands-on, or what type of person was it?
He was a great coach. He would always, sometimes I just wanted a day off, but he'd come to me on the Tuesday after our double session and just about to leave, and he would just give me a nudge. He went, "Do you want to do some finishing tomorrow?" Like on Wednesday, our day off. And I'm like, I can't say no, can I? But that was the type of bloke he was. He put everything into it and developing players as well. Me individually, I think he saw a bit of me in him, or him in me. I don't know what way around, but Probably looks wise as well. I always get told. But yeah, he was great with me, developing me as a striker, and really, really good coach, really nice guy. He always used to wind me up. Obviously, I had a degree when I was there, and they all nicknamed me the student. And but he always used to give me a nudge and say, "How many degrees have you got, Simo?" And I was like, "Just the one, Gaffer." And he's like, "Oh, I've got two. You know that, don't you?" He always had to have the upper hand on you. He was brilliant, but he did it in jest, and he was a really good bloke. And he's actually moved on now into new careers. I saw on LinkedIn the other day he's found another new career, and he's a really intelligent bloke, and doesn't surprise me that he'll be really good in business. And I think Tim Flowers is a manager now, or was a manager of Solihull for a bit. I don't know whether he's left.
I don't think he's still at Solihull. They were rumoured to take the Chesterfield job when James Rose just took over. But yeah, he was doing really well last season. So I mean, Dowie had a great career as a manager, didn't he? Right at the top level.
He did.
To something else that's less stressful, I guess.
It's weird with Iain Dowie that he's kind of dropped off that, because, like you say, was it Oldham? He did a really good job at one club specifically, I think, and then
Palace he did really well. He got them promoted to the Premier League.
Yeah, it was Oldham and Palace, I think, off the top of my head, and then he obviously got into the Premier League. But yeah, he's always come across as a really nice guy.
Yeah,
strange he dropped out of it. Obviously, he does a bit with Sky Sports now, doesn't he? As well, I think it's been him at ground.
Yeah, he enjoys that.
Yeah,
I think it's probably because he enjoys that more than
the stress,
the management, I guess. Now, stress and management. Yeah,
I think a lot go into the media side, don't they? Because your job's probably more secure for one thing. with results business, isn't it? You lose a couple of games and.
Well, you say that loads of the Soccer Saturday boys got the sack, didn't they?
They did. Yeah, that's true.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah,
I love that. You're saying, well, your job's secure. Well, they all got sacked last year.
Charlie Nicholas is watching this going, no, wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So, again, fast forwarding your career again. So, signing for Huddersfield, where that didn't quite sort of work out as a transfer for you, but then getting loaned out to Brentford, and then I think it was Oldham twice, weren't it? What was that like for a player where you're sort of getting loaned out when you sort of played at a higher level already?
Yeah, obviously I was disappointed it didn't work out at Huddersfield. And in hindsight, I wish I'd never have left Coventry, because I had another year left on my deal there. But I kind of got the feeling from Chris Coleman that I was always going to be the easy one to be left out. In hindsight, like during my time at Huddersfield that first year, all the Coventry players messaged me saying you shouldn't have left, you'd have been playing. And hindsight's a wonderful thing. I dropped down in the hope that I would be a starting centre forward for Huddersfield, get promoted, and then be a starting centre forward in the Championship. But I got swine flu actually just after pre-season, just at the start of the season. It was that time. So that knocked me back, and then just picked up little niggly injuries the whole season, really. One in particular that I would do the rehab on and come back into training, and then first ball I would kick, I would feel it again. And that just was a cycle that went on for about 8 months.
Oh, God.
And made it back just in time for the playoffs that year. But yeah, we didn't get promoted, and the manager sort of, I guess, and I can understand it. We didn't quite see eye to eye, but he obviously spent a lot of money to buy me from Coventry, and pinned his hopes on me getting him promoted, and it didn't work out. So yeah, I can understand why he had a bit of a vengeance against me for that. And I think it was his decision then that I was no longer going to be his player, and he tried to loan me out. And the second season loan to Brentford, had a great time there. Reached Wembley, my first time going to Wembley. Unfortunately, I rolled my ankle a couple of weeks before, so I wasn't involved, but really good club. And it was actually really good to be part of, I guess, the start of the change in Brentford from that lower league side to the new owners coming in and doing things a bit differently with the stats that they used and to where they are now, and the style of football change to where they are now, being a real top championship side, probably version on the version of being a Premier League team.
Yeah.
So it's really good to sort of to witness the start of that journey as a football club for them. Really interesting. Great club.
Too.
Yeah, new stadium now. Yeah, that looks great. So it's really good to have been part of that football club and witness it from the very beginning, the start of the change. Really interesting for me.
It would be great for them to go up last year with a new stadium coming in this year, and they were so close, weren't they? I mean, they had like sort of 3 bites at the cherry with, I think it was Stoke they had to beat, and then there was somebody
Barnsley last game, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then playoff final as well. But they're looking decent this season. Well, League Cup semi-final. So
do you know what? They always, obviously, Ollie Watkins left, and you think who's going to fill that void? But I guarantee you, they would have done the stats on everything. How can we get another Ollie Watkins type of player? Yeah. And obviously, they replaced him with Ivan Toney, and obviously, it's hindsight. He started off amazingly, but you can guarantee that they've done all the probability of, if we sign this player, what's the likelihood of him filling Ollie's boots, and he would have been the number one target, and you can see why they're so successful now in their recruitment.
It's the Moneyball approach, isn't it? Like you hear so often what they use. The Billy Bean, what I think his name is, the guy in America with the Boston Red Sox.
Oakland A's, was it?
Or was that where he went? I forget where he went. The Oakland team. Anyway,
Oakland A's, yeah.
That's it. Burnley have just been taken over by a guy who's very much into that as well. So that'll be interesting to see if he owns the app technology that the people who do that use, the analytics and data research and everything. But you're absolutely right with Brentford. Like, you think of strikers, they've had it the last 5 years for a comparatively small club. I mean, they got Andre Gray, and they always buy them cheap, flog them for high profit, and then buy relatively cheap again, flog for high profit.
It's a good model, isn't it?
Yeah. They do seem to be a proper well-run club. Who it would be nice to see them and reap them rewards and get into the Premier League, definitely.
Yeah, it'd be great.
So you touched on it, saying about you knew quite early on about getting loaned out. Is it something that you have with the manager, like you sort of get that vibe from them, or is it a sit-down conversation and say, look, we need to sort of pay your wages in a sense and bring someone else in? How does that sort of conversation go?
Yeah, so that summer he said he needed me off the wage bill because he wanted to bring in Alan Lee. And I said, well, that's not my problem that you need me off the wage bill to bring Alan Lee in. I want to stay and fight for my place. And I think it got to the day before the season starting, before I signed my loan for Brentford. And then the following season, actually, I just found out on Twitter that I got put on the transfer list.
Really?
Just suddenly got all these messages from Huddersfield fans saying, like, sorry, you haven't been given a chance and stuff like that. And I was like, why? What's happened? And then I checked the local paper and I'd been put on the transfer list.
Oh, no.
Not good, that.
So is that you then going back into boardroom or into manager and going, what the hell's this about? How come I'm finding out through this? Or do they pull you in at all?
To be honest with you, I guess it's a bit harsh, but I didn't expect anything less from him. And I went in and said, look, I'm happy to go. I want to play football. But there was personal circumstances at the time when my brother's wife had just passed away and he lived in Leeds and I wanted to be close to him. So I said to Lee Clark at the time that I wanted to go to a club within an hour from Leeds so I could still live in Leeds with my brother. And because of my experience of dropping down a league from Coventry to Huddersfield and it not working out, I was really apprehensive about dropping to a team in a lower league. So I said, look, if I can find a team in the same league within an hour from Leeds, I'm happy to go. Yeah. And then he starts ringing me every day with clubs further an hour away from Leeds and in the league below, and then hammering me for not going. And that cycle continued for a while until I found out that Oldham were interested. So 45 minutes from Leeds, same league, perfect. I'll go. And then they wouldn't let me go to them for a while. So I said, look, what do I have to do to go? Because obviously you don't want me here. I think Oldham were offering half my wages and they wanted a bit more. And they'd just taken another lad from Huddersfield on loan who was on the exact same money as me and accepted 50% of his wages being paid. So I was like, what's the difference? And they said, well, we value you more than the other player. I said, well, obviously you don't, because you want neither of us here. So we're both surplus to requirements. But yeah, that went on a bit, and I ended up saying, look, I'll forfeit, 5-10 grand of my salary to if you allow me to go.
Yeah.
So they said, yeah, fine. So I went, and Oldham was brilliant. Couldn't have wished for a better loan really that first season. Good club, Paul Dickoff, great guy. Had a great cup run, scored at Anfield.
Yeah.
So yeah, couldn't wish for a better season really.
What a goal that were as well. We were watching it on YouTube earlier. Cutting front left, about 75 yards out, we'll say.
yeah. It was special.
Yeah.
It was special, not only for the type of goal, which is without doubt the best goal I've scored in my career, but just for trying to get out on loan and, personal circumstances. And for that goal to go in, it was kind of like all of that tough few months that I'd gone through to make that loan possible was all worth it in that one moment.
Yeah, that's nice.
Sorry, go on. Sorry, Josh.
No, I was just going to say, just touching on managers. So you've mentioned Lee Clark, you mentioned Chris Coleman, Iain Dowie. There's quite a few high-profile managers that you've played under. Paul Dickoff as well. Who was the best for you?
I'm always going to say Iain Dowie to an extent, because he gave me my chance. Picked me up from a lower league and gave me my chance in the Championship. And I was always fighting to get back to the Championship ever since I left it, really, and didn't quite work out, unfortunately.
Yeah.
He was great. I really liked working for Paul Tisdale. I was with him for 3 years, 2 years at Exeter, and then 1 year at MK Dons. And I liked just how different he was to every other manager I'd played under. At lunch time, for example, he wouldn't just sit with his staff and chat to them, and he would sit with the players and start a conversation. And the conversation wouldn't be about football; it would be about family or what are you doing tonight and stuff like that. Which is really weird for some players. They found him quite weird, but for me, I found it a nice change. And a different approach to management, and I really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed working with him. He was great, and it's good to see him back in the game now, having left MK Dons and back with Bristol Rovers now, and looks like he's doing a really good job there.
Well-heeled individual as well, always packing an interesting wardrobe on the sidelines, isn't he?
Yeah, well, his best mate is Ray Kelvin, who is Ted Baker.
All right.
So Ray would always come to training, come to match days, come in the changing rooms. He's a real bubbly guy. He's a good guy as well, very eccentric, which kind of rubs off on Tiz, I think, a little bit. But yeah, Tiz always likes to show off his gear.
Without a doubt.
Brilliant. So you've had 10 different clubs. So what an incredible career you've had. But what's been the worst initiation you've had to do at a club? So has there been one that you've really dreaded doing?
Yeah, I guess the one I was at Leyton Orient, and we were in one of the local curry houses sponsored us, so we all got to go there on an evening for a curry, and it was full of Leyton Orient fans. It was full of just the general public, and they made us do an initiate. But somehow a microphone appeared from nowhere, and we had to do an initiation song. I think my actual song's on YouTube somewhere.
Digging that up later.
We'll add that on the video.
I did this rap. I did this garage rap in the middle of a packed curry house in Leyton.
I'm just going to do a little old school bit of garage MC.
Yes!
I remember when I was at school, they treated me like I was a fool. Punished me for trying to act cool, and they sat me in the class for facing the wall. I was the last but no. I had maths when they had PE. Practice for my GCSE. I was told the rest were better than me. In English, everyone got C. Not me, they gave me a G. Pushed and kicked by all the bully. Got my head on the ground and grazed up my knee. Sent to school on every birthday. I was detention every Friday. I had to work when I was still playing. I was sent to this to be the DJ. But no, I became an MC. When all of the crew just listened to me. Because I knew we had perfect UC. And they all knew that I had it in me. More respect come day by diggy day. Bullies move right out of my way. All because one day I said, hey, I'm Simo. And I'm having my say.
Yeah. That must have been great for fans, though, to sort of see that. And you see a lot about footballers being disconnected and things like that. So to have that must have been great for us to be able to see.
Yeah, Leyton Orient fans will probably say it's the best thing I did for the club.
Oh, brilliant. That's fantastic. So now then at Chelmsford, where you're player manager, a great set of players with you as well. So how is that going from being a player to now a manager with the same set of lads?
It was actually easier than I thought in terms of the relationship with the lads, because, well, just that I had a relationship with them already, and I felt that being a senior player that has played the levels I have, I kind of already had the respect from them, and I was always in the changing room speaking to individuals one-on-one about their game and how they can improve anyway. And I guess I just switched that from an informal fellow player setting to standing up in front of them speaking and then pulling them aside for individual chats. It's the transition from player to manager in that respect with the same group of players, I felt made it easier. Probably easier than if I'd have gone into a changing room where I knew nobody as a manager.
Yeah. I'm going to say, because I'm quite intrigued about it, because I'm a Derby County fan, and seeing Wayne Rooney do that at Derby and the success he's had in such a short amount of time. Fair enough, we've dropped back into bottom three, but it's nice to know that from your side it is doable, and you know what I mean, he's already got that relationship with everyone to bring the best out of the players, because obviously they've worked with him. So. Yeah,
the hardest thing, and it's interesting that Wayne's now stopped playing. So the hardest thing I found was playing whilst being manager. Really, really hard, and still finding it hard. And I've kind of got to the point now where in my head I'll only probably start myself on the bench at best, and only bring myself on when everybody will know the game plan. So i.e. if we're chasing the game, last 5-10 minutes and we need to be more direct, I'll bring myself on up front and they'll just zing balls to me.
Really interesting you say that, because it was literally our last guest, I think, Mark Robertson, who played for Burnley, Australia International, and he was signed by Chris Waddle, who were player manager at Burnley for one season. Right. And we were obviously getting his input, like, how was that? Because Waddle only did one season as a manager. A lot of people forget he ever was a manager. He never did it again.
Yeah, I didn't know that, actually.
You know, we're really curious, like, how did that work? And he were very blunt about it. He said, if you're a player, just imagine your boss doing your job with you, like in our case. And he said, and he's having a go, going, come on, chase back. And he said, as a player, I'm turning to him going, you fucking chase back. We're on the same team. But having that discussion with your manager is very difficult. And it was a really interesting conversation, because I never thought of that. You do always wonder, it's quite a rarity, a player manager, and how does it work? So it's very interesting. Now we've had two in a row who've kind of experienced that, you more than anyone, obviously. And did you ever have that feeling then when you were, I guess, wanting something from your players that maybe they weren't given in a game that you were also playing in? How, I bet that's a really weird conversation to have, is it?
Yeah. And I guess in my head, I've got an ideal way I'd want my teams to play. and that's taking something from every level I've played at and every manager I've played under.
Yeah.
But I guess for me, I have to realise that the players I've got are at the level they are, and the level and style of football that is played at our level on the pitches that they're played under, played on. I have to adapt what my ideal is, or just not try and implement my ideal and implement whatever the best is for the scenario I've been given. So I'm still learning that, to be honest with you. And I think on Saturday, the game we had on Saturday, we were 2-0 down at half time, and I kind of wanted my team to play the way I want a team to play. And then at half time, I quickly changed it and said, right, we're playing like this. And suddenly it worked. We scored 4 goals in the second half and won 4-2. Yeah. So I'm still learning that in terms of, what I should demand from the players, and maybe the style of football I should implement at the level I am, rather than what my ideal is. Yeah. And playing wise, I tried it in pre-season, so more not necessarily me demanding off the other players when I'm on the pitch, but more demanding from myself. Like I started a game in pre-season just to test it out, and in my head, all I could think about was how the team were playing, not focusing on my own job on the pitch. Yeah. And then I didn't perform very well on the pitch, and I'm like, well, this is too hard. Mentally, it's too hard to focus on my own job as a player. But in my head, all I can think about is how the team are playing and the structure of the team, etc. It's
doubling the pressure on you, isn't it?
Well, you almost have to be a schizophrenic to be able to do it.
It is. You don't consider that it's someone doing 2 jobs at the same time, and how can you tell your right back where to play it while also making a run to, it's very difficult. What I just wanted to ask, when you went to Chelmsford, was it always in your mind, maybe not to be manager, but to get into the coaching setup, and was that sort of something that was offered to you? And
no, not at all.
No,
I never really had any interest in becoming a manager, and I still don't really have an interest in being a full-time manager. But I went there as a player, and I thought I'd have 2 or 3 years playing part-time whilst I build a career outside of football, to then in 3 years' time to take that on even further as my sole job, really. And it just so happened that our manager departed in the January, and I was the most senior experienced player in the dressing room, and they asked me to take interim charge. And I'd done my badges, because most players now do their badges whilst they're playing. It's kind of like the thing to do. So I was always quite confident that I could coach if needed to, and the board asked me to take over, and I did. And I think it took a while for the players to maybe get used to me being the interim manager, because the first few games didn't quite go to plan. But then we finished really strongly before lockdown. We went away to top of the league and beat them. We drew with second in the league, and then we won another game, and we had a really good sort of 4 or 5 games, and everything seemed to be coming together. And the chairman kind of offered me the job, and I said no straight away. And then I went away and had a think about it, and then we won another game, I think. And I went back to him and said maybe we could make this work, because I was enjoying it. I was enjoying that different aspect to it, and ended up saying yes, and now here we are.
Brilliant.
All right, Josh, I'll let you take it through the Tommy Lee Pro 5.
Yeah, so we do this with all of our guests. It's just 5 quick questions about your career. It's the Tommy Lee Pro 5 quiz, because Tommy was the first person to get 5 out of 5, so he earned the naming rights. So we'll start. Number 1, you made over 300 Football League appearances in your career, scoring 45 goals. Who did you score the most league goals for?
Oldham.
No, Cambridge United. 12 Football League goals.
Oh, okay.
Should have got the stats on Oldham. I think Oldham was close. I think Oldham was maybe 10 off the top of my head, I think. We'll edit it. I'll check.
Yeah.
So number 2, you scored 1 league hat-trick in your career. Who was that against?
Chesterfield.
It was. 5-2, I think. That was for Oldham, wasn't it?
2 first half hat-trick.
In about 12 minutes or so, I want to say maybe.
Yeah,
20 minutes or so.
Was Tommy Lee playing in that one?
I think a little bit.
He might have been, actually. Yeah.
Booking him off on his own quiz job.
Okay. Number 3. Which teammate across your career did you make the most appearances alongside? And I've got a choice of 3. So it's Craig Woodman, Jean-Yves Mvoto, or Josh Coulson.
That's interesting because I played with Craig Woodman over 2 different clubs at Brentford and Exeter. But for some reason, I don't think it is him. I'm going to go for Josh Coulson.
No, Josh Coulson, I think the 3 was the lowest actually. He was 58, Craig Woodman 61, and Jean-Yves Mvoto 70. So yeah, it was very close.
Terrible for me then, really.
Question 4. You received 2 red cards in your career. 1 was a straight red and 1 was for 2 yellows. Do you know who they were against?
I know 1 was against Yeovil.
Yeah, that was the straight red, I think, for Oldham.
Yeah.
I think described
the other one
horror tackle.
It was on the keeper, actually. Yeah. I don't like keepers very much.
It's always a straight red when you slide a keeper on FIFA, isn't it? So
yeah. I'd actually made the exact same tackle a minute earlier and got the ball and it almost went in, but the pitch was so bad it stuck in the mud on the line.
Oh right.
And then I tried the same again and I was a little bit later. Yeah, a little bit later, maybe. And then the second one, it was 2 yellows. Oh, I think it was away at Tranmere.
Correct, yeah, for Cambridge in 2014. Now, that one was on the 19th of December. I think the straight red was on the 22nd. So, I mean, both before Christmas. Did you just want Boxing Day off that year?
Funnily enough, Gary Johnson, the manager at Yeovil, as I was running off the pitch, he actually just out the corner of his mouth went, "Enjoy your Christmas, you know."
Oh, brilliant.
I must just get angry around that time.
Yeah. I've got pressure. I've got presents to wrap. And number 5, the last one, the biggest win of your career was for Cambridge in April 2016. You came on as a 66th minute substitute. Do you know what was the score and who it was against?
I think so. I think it was 7-0.
Yeah.
Is it Cheltenham?
It was Morecambe.
Morecambe, yes.
Same colour. Same colour kit. Yeah, that's it. Brilliant. Yeah. Good effort, that. They were certainly more tricky this year. 2021, I've gone hard in the quiz.
Yeah, I've gone hard.
Yeah.
All the guests are saying how easy it is, apart from Steve Baines and someone else.
Black Steve Baines. Yeah, no one will ever be last thanks to Steve.
Not gonna lie, I'm gutted. I'm gutted I didn't get 5 out of 5.
Yeah, no, they were more tricky. I'll hold my hands up, but no, it was good. It was good.
Excellent. But best of luck for the rest of the season, Robbie. Thank you very much for giving your time up and coming on our podcast. We massively appreciate it from us three. But thank you very much again for all your time and everything that you put in for us.
Yeah. No problem at all. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
All
appreciate
right,
it.
Brilliant.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
so much, Robbie.
Cheers, Robbie.
Thanks, Tom.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Wasn't Robbie a top lad? And I hope you enjoyed his rapping. We might even get him on in the future to do a bit of rapping ourselves. But so last week's score predictions, Josh got a big 5-pointer. Chorley 2-0. What do you make of that game, Josh?
Purely FM coming in your face. I didn't really watch much at game, but the Derby kids, weren't it? But yeah, fair play to Chorley. FA Cup 4th round. What are they? Like 8th tier or something?
Yeah, they've never been to 3rd round. Now they're in 4th, so massive credit.
Who've they got? Who've they got in next round? Is it Prem team? Is it Wolves?
Oh no.
I made that. I'm sure they got a Premier League team. So yeah, fair play. I hope they win it.
Yeah, Luke had 2 points as well. He had a 1-0 Chorley.
I don't think it's any disgrace against you. It's just, you put kids out, like kids, proper kids, not just like your good kids. So I think, yeah, well done, Chorley. But it's a bit like the USA World Champions women's team losing to under 15s boys in that friendly, isn't it? It's just
like expected to happen, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's the only reason we predicted. I'm just checking who they have got. Yeah, they have got Wolves at home. That's the only reason we predicted.
Yeah,
Chorley winning it.
I just don't want to take out away from Chorley. It's a massive thing for them to go through to next round. I mean, when you look at Derby team anyway, it's full of kids, and like the actual first team is full of like 19, 18-year-olds. So, I mean, it just shows how much depth we've actually got in the academy, and they're not bad. I mean, they're 17-year-old lads, aren't they? They'll get better with age. You can just tell the strength of Chorley team.
I think it proved that there's an argument that they need to bring like reserve league football back rather than under 23 football, because I didn't watch much, but what I saw, they certainly seemed to like bully you.
Oh God, yeah.
First game that a lot of them young kids have had against like men.
Yeah. I'm sure every single player was maybe not Harrison Solomon, but was all debutants in first team. So, I mean, what experience that is. You're sort of carrying the Derby County name for next round, but sadly they didn't win. But right, moving on anyway. Burnley MK Dons. I did say it. There's 2 threats in that team: Richard Keogh and Cameron Jerome. One of them scored. But no, a draw and a penalty win. So none of us got that right. But what did you make of the game, Luke?
It should have been about 50-0 to Burnley at first half. Never, honestly. I know I'm accused of being biased often, which obviously I am, but MK Dons were utterly pathetic. It was a disgrace we went a goal down to them. Absolutely ridiculous. The gulf is just ludicrous. Absolutely mental. The goalkeeper were really good for him. What's Lee Nichols? His name was?
Lee or Alex, one of them, probably.
But I say we're really good. It were Barnes and Wood should hang their head in shame for how poorly they finished in that game. They had sitters galore. So did other players, but they're the ones that are there to put the ball in the net, and they're not doing it, even against Milton Keynes Dons.
Yeah, so no one actually got points in that one. We all had Burnley win. But next game, Man United Watford. Josh, you watched that one, didn't you?
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
No Ben Foster, so no cycling GK behind scenes.
No, I didn't even get to look into his GoPro. Absolutely shit. United's first team is decent. We've got probably got a good 13 players. And as soon as you start dipping below that, you're really in trouble. Yeah, terrible.
Who were keeper? Dean Endo?
Henderson in net. Yeah, there are a few first teams in there. McTominay played, but there were a lot of Dan James, Mata, Lingard.
I reckon McTominay's absolutely class. I do.
He's good in a game where you need to sort of turn the ball over quick. Like he'll play on Sunday against Liverpool, because they'll need someone to get him, win ball, give it to Bruno, who can lay it off quick. His energy is ridiculous. Against a team like Watford at home, you're not going to see best of him. Like as a holding midfielder, but he's a very good player. Certainly one of the 13 who I think's all right.
Right, this weekend's predictions, and it's a massive one. But we'll start with Derby Rotherham. Luke, what do you think that scoreline will be?
Rooney, the new manager, permanent, confirmed.
Yeah, confirmed 4 hours ago.
All your players up for sale, not being paid.
Yeah, there's something about that because we've spoke about it offline, haven't we? But you've got the technical director in whatever Pearson's name coming out saying, no, it's false. Derby are fine. They've had to freeze finances over Christmas period where they thought takeover were going to happen. So they thought the takeover were going to be done, new owners paying wages as of Christmas, but that's not happened. You've gone into January. Your finances are still frozen. You can't pay player wages. And I suppose it is a long process. We're like, how come you can't transfer over money and that's it, done? But I suppose there's loads and loads of stuff that happens in a takeover, isn't it? But like me and Josh have said, if you start to see Derby selling players within the next sort of week or so, then yeah, it's up shit creek. But if they remain all the players, and you might see takeover happen in the next couple of days. So
yeah.
We'll just see.
I think if you start getting rid of your top players or even your sort of promising young players, something's not quite right. Because I don't think potential investors, owners, would really want to get rid of that. Because that seems to be what Derby are at the minute. They seem to be on cusp of like a really good sort of youth.
Yeah. Another thing that they did say as well, they'll not make a decision on the Derby manager until the new owners have pretty much signed on dotted line, and they've said that Mel and the new owners have made the choice of keeping Wayne Rooney on. So I'm hoping within the next day, 2 days, the famous saying every 48 hours, hopefully something's signed. But what do you actually think the score will be?
I'll say 1-0 Derby, just because you're at home and they're doing even worse than you. So you've got to expect a win there.
Yeah, last year was year before 6-1.
Yeah, you take half of that.
Yeah,
I'd just take 1-0 win. I'm not fussy.
Josh, are you playing back? Is it you've got first team players again, have you?
Yeah, first team players back. They've been training.
Yeah, you'll win comfortable. You'll still have that sort of Rooney bounce, maybe even more so now it's confirmed that he's got it full time. I'll go 2-0 Derby.
Cool. And I'm going to go one more than that, and I'm going to say 3-0 Derby. So we've all gone 1, 2, and 3. So next game we've got West Ham Burnley. I think this is a big 3-pointer. What do you reckon, Josh?
At West Ham?
I think so, yeah.
They started well, didn't they? But they've dropped off a bit. Burnley have been doing well. They were decent against United overnight. Got quite a good record there as well, haven't you, Luke? I certainly remember one time you beat West Ham and we were playing crazy golf and you nearly murdered me as Ashley Barnes put a third one.
I was hammered, to be fair, but yeah. Yeah, I think we've won.
Liverpool that same day as well. Spooky.
We've won every game there, I think.
I think
3 years on track.
But I think it'll be a draw. I think you'll draw 1-1.
Yeah, I was about to say the exact same. I was going to say, well, based on them stats, 1-1. So, yeah, 1-1 for me. What do you reckon, Luke?
2-0 Burnley.
Confident, Ben, me?
I'm really confident. I think we'll win. Not that I think West Ham are a bad team. I just think we're playing well. We're very solid at back. I think it took United a deflected goal and some lucky decisions, some would say, to put a goal past us.
Yeah.
And teams that aren't top of the league are really struggling to score against us. And I just don't fear West Ham. I don't even, they've got Bowen on right hand side, but they haven't really got anything for it middle, in my opinion. They've got rid of Haller, not yet replaced him. They're quite a nippy team, but they don't really strike me as particularly physical, and I think they'll struggle with Tarky and me, and I can see us nicking a goal or two. So I'm going to say 2-0.
We've still got Mikel Antonio, which feels like he's been there for about 40 years, but
yeah,
he's an odd one. Isn't he? When he's on form, he's great,
unreal.
but he seems to play in spells a lot. Like if he'll score one, he'll score.
Yeah,
4 games.
I don't know if he's still injured though. Is he?
I'm not sure.
He always seems to be.
He'll come into a great bit of form. He'll come into a great bit of form, and then that's it. He'll get injured, and then everyone will be lost without him. But
yeah.
But the main one, Man United versus Liverpool. What do you reckon is going to happen, Luke? Josh, you can finish.
Ball draw 0-0.
Like Man United in every top fixture game.
It'll be a draw. I'll tell you that it'll be a draw. Maybe not 0-0, but I'll say 0-0. Take the 2 points. It'll definitely be a draw.
I'm quite confident because I've got Man United to win league, so 1-0 Man United.
I don't know. I'm pessimistic. I back Burnley. I'm skint at minute with United being top because I back every other team. I back everyone. I back Liverpool against everyone, and I back everyone against United. I mean, it'd be incredible if we won. We'd be 6 points clear at Liverpool, which
it'd be tasty.
I don't know. There seems to be there's a lot of people writing United off still. It seems to have a bit of a feel like Jason McAteer saying they're in a false position, and
he would.
I don't know. He would, yeah.
He would.
But I mean, Solskjaer will be loving that, won't he? And players, while ever there's no pressure on him, just go out, keep winning, see where you end up. I still think I'm right at the start of the season. I think City will win league. Liverpool are dropping a lot of points. City are coming pretty good, and they've got a few games in hand. As for this weekend, I'll go Liverpool to win because at least I'll get 2 points or 5 points, and I'll be happy if we don't draw or if we draw or win, I'll be happy. And if we don't, I'll get my points. So I'll go Liverpool 3-1.
Whoa.
I hope not. I really hope not.
Brill. So that is it. The end of this week's Pint. So next week we are joined by Martin Carruthers.
Come on, Gandhi.
Gandhi man.
You'll find out. So we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Pie and a pint. 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 Pie and a